Hi guys, it's Jodie here today for Hip Kit Club, and I have a process video for you which is my flipbook mini album using the beautiful September kits from Hip Kits. The first step for this mini is to create the base, and I'm using the magic pattern paper from Dear Lizzie that's in the kits this month. I've cut two pieces that are 10 by 4 inches, which I then score at 3 inch, 6 inches and 9 inches. And then one piece that is 9 and 3/4 inches by 6.5 inches. And then I score that at 3 1/4 and 7.5 inches. You can see there that I've also cut out some of the vellum using my envelope punch board from We Are Memory Keepers. And I've created a little vellum envelope for the center of my album there as well. Once I've scored all the pieces, I test out my little album, and I did actually see the idea for this album, a few similar albums on Pinterest, but I'm really not sure how to get the pages flipping in the right manner, just to keep them closed properly. I end up going about this the wrong way to start with. You can see there that I'm really fussing trying to work this out, and I think I've got it right, but I end up changing my mind later on. But what you need to do is fold the two outside pieces across to the front on each of the sides, and then fold them in one more time. That's the way that it ended up working out for me. Yeah, so it was just a little bit of trial and error, but I got there in the end after a little bit of undoing bits here and there and redoing them, but that's okay. That was all part of the process for me. So I've started working on some of the inside pages of this album now, and I've pulled out one of the 3x4 journaling cards from the Pocket Life kit. I love that color of this card. It's a beautiful pale peach or apricot, and it's just so pretty, and it works so well for this beautiful photo of our son's partner Sophie when she was just bonding with these horses out on the farm this weekend. You can see there that I'm using one of the Dear Lizzie frames from the embellishment kit this month just to layer with that photo. That is part of my brief today with this mini, is to use the Dear Lizzie frame pack. I'm totally in love with these frames. I love frames on any day of the week, but these frames are totally gorgeous. They're not too thick for chipboard frames. They're relatively thin so that they work in something like a mini where you have layers that you don't want to be too thick so that you can fold something up and it still works out just fine. I'm just flipping through one of the Paige Evans 2x2 paper pads that are in the Project Life kit this month, and I'm using the phrases paper pad here, and I've pulled out a phrase and trimmed it down a little bit further so that it says love you, and that's just the perfect size for fitting in behind that frame. So shortly after this, I turned my camera off because it was late in the afternoon, and I came back the next morning, but I actually popped in the previous evening and did a couple of little things. So just showing you there, I've added a couple of strips, branding strips from the Dear Lizzie papers. And I've also cut a strip from the Dear Lizzie One More Chapter paper, which is just rows and rows of those beautiful books and teacups and pencils. So I've put all those together and just created a little pocket there, and I love how that turned out. So my apologies that that's not on the video, but it was just one of those moments when I popped into my craft room later at night and didn't think to turn my camera on when I was having a quick play. Now you might have noticed that I've been adding a few pattern papers to the base of the album as I go. Because it's pattern paper as the base, you could totally work with that as your base layer, but I like to add in a few different patterns and colors to the album as I go. As it turned out, it wasn't too thick, it still folds up quite nicely. So I'm really happy with how that turned out, and it just gives a little bit of variety to the colors and patterns in the album as well. So I really wanted to create a couple of shaker pockets on this mini using some pretty tulle and using also some of the frames. You can see there I've just stitched around the tulle, the edges of the tulle there, and stitched that to my paper backing. And then now I'm just grabbing some sequins from my stash. We did get some sequins in the kits last month, but I did use all of those up. So these are just a couple of coordinating colors from my stash, and I'm just popping them in there. And when you get a close-up look at them, you can just see the sequins are so sparkly and the tulle is so delicate and feminine, and it just looks so pretty. These are my favorite new type of shaker pockets to do. So just stripping off the excess tulle there after I've sewn the extra little hole shut, and then I can pop the frame right over the top of that and adhere it to my mini. So a good tip to remember when you're scrapbooking and you have any elements that you're working with, whether it be ephemera pieces or in this case I'm working with frames, remember that they don't have to stay in the shape or the form that you got them. You can cut bits off of them, or like I've done here, you can cut frames in half and pop half above a photo and half below a photo. Little things like that. So I've ended up deciding to only use the bottom half of the frame, and it's just a layer to use in this page of the mini, but it works really well, and it doesn't have to work as just a traditional frame. As part of my background on this page, I've trimmed out one of the little notebook pieces from the Dear Lizzie Perfectly Imperfect paper and run one of my edge punches along the top so that it looks even more like a little notebook. So that was kind of the folded in part of the mini, and now I've opened each of the flaps out to the side. You can see that was one of my little errors there where I had been folding it quite differently and I had to make a couple of adjustments. So I've pulled a bit off, and that's okay. It's covered up now, and you'd never know the difference. So I've just added another frame there with another piece of the notebook paper as a background, and I'm just adhering that photo straight over the top. I did use actually a lot of landscape oriented photos in this mini album. It would have been better, I think, if they were portrait, but I just happened to take a lot of landscape photos on this weekend that was our road trip out to the country. And I decided just to make it work. I sized the photos down as small as I could. You can see there's one portrait style photo there of that gorgeous horsey. But most of the photos in the album are actually landscape photos. I like that they're quite small because I had to size them down so much. It kind of adds a nice little whimsical feel to the album. So that's pretty cute. I'm pretty much finished with the individual pages of the album now, and while I was rifling through my ribbon stash to see what kind of ribbon I could use as a closure for my album, I found this gorgeous green tassel ribbon, and I totally had to use it on the album. So I've added some of my redline tape, just the really fine redline tape, which is super adhesive, and if you really want a strong hold, that's the kind of tape to go with, and use that to add the ribbon. And you can see it just folds up there nicely so that it's nice and protected as well. When it came time to decide on a title for this mini, I had a title in mind. I'd had a title in mind for a while, and that was because we'd been on a country road trip, or a road trip to a country town where my daughter lives, about 10 hours drive away from us, and I just love escaping to the country, and this was kind of a catchphrase that we used on our road trip for the weekend, and it's Yeehaw, and we kind of used it as, you know, anytime we saw something country along the road trip, we'd use that phrase, and it's really intrinsically part of our memories of that weekend. So I'm glad I actually decided to go with that name for the title of my mini. I've also used one of the frames from Dear Lizzie just to add my date to. So I've just added July 2019 with the gorgeous little mini alphas from Pretty Little Studio. And this is from the Indian Summer Collection that Hip Kit Club's very own Kim Watson designed. The collection is just gorgeous, and I love these little alphas to use, and they were included in the Pocket Life kit this month. So I've just added those for the date, and then I've also added another little label and spelled out our little Yeehaw in July 2019, and I've fussy cut out one of the beautiful little flowers from that same Dear Lizzie paper to add in over part of the frame so that it kind of just all works in together. To finish up the cover, I just cut a few little extra tiny pieces of cardstock to bump out either side of the frame so that it would actually sit evenly over the top of that twine that I've got wound around there. Because that does up at the back, that flare button doesn't need to move from the front at all, so it can stay there permanently. And that is my little mini album all finished. I love how this looks like a little purse to start with. You can fold it out from top to bottom, and then you open up that little flap and it opens out on either side as well. And you can fit just so many photos in there, and you can put lots of pockets in there for journaling or holding little trinkets and notes and journaling and bits and pieces. And I especially love that vellum envelope in there as well, that you can just, it's a kind of a see-through element. I'll leave you with a few close-ups here now, and I'll also leave in the description box below the dimensions of cut and score lines that I use for this mini, and links to the products that I've used, which were the September kits. I'll also leave links to the October kits, which are due to ship any day. Thanks for stopping by today, guys, and I hope to see you again soon.